Hello and welcome to Rajya Sabha Television. You're watching COVID-19 India Fights Back. I'm Frank Rausen Pereira. It's been over 7 months since schools shut down due to the pandemic. As state governments are set to reopen schools, stakeholders are divided on how risky it is to send children to schools and whether teenagers increase risk of transmission compared to the younger ones. On one hand, parents are terrified after as many as 829 teachers and 575 students, all from government high schools in Andhra Pradesh, tested positive after schools reopened on November 2nd. On the other hand, thousands of children have already lost out on education massively. In Tamil Nadu, according to the annual State of Education Report Survey 2020, more than half the students surveyed in the state had done no or just one learning activity during the week of the survey. Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray on Sunday announced that Maharashtra schools will reopen after Diwali while taking all precautionary measures. Meanwhile, the Karnataka government may defer reopening of schools to December after seeing what happened in Andhra Pradesh. In this context, it becomes important to understand the role of children in transmission of COVID-19 to decide if schools should be reopened. To discuss this, I have with me on the program today Dr. H.S. Vashisht, Principal, DPS Bulandshahr, Dr. Lakshmanan S., Mission Director, National Health Mission, Assam, and Dr. Mahavir Singh, Additional Chief Secretary, School Education. Thank you to all my guests for joining me on this edition of India Fights Back. All right, Dr. Mahavir Singh, let me start the program with you first. What is it that schools need to look at before they decide to open? What are the kind of measures that need to be put in place before schools start welcoming children?
It's issued by the MHA. It specifically says that the state government has to take a call on this. In addition to that, it has also been given a mandate that the attendance would not be the mandatory. And the third aspect of these guidelines is like when the students come to the school when it is reopened, as per the decision of the state government, they need to have the consent of the parents. With these three riders in reopening of the schools, one needs to understand how it is going to be taken forward. One particular aspect which in the state of Haryana we carried forward before reopening the schools on 2nd of November, we took the consent of the parents. And initially the idea was to take it for the board classes, that is the class 10th and class 12th. And incidentally, we got overwhelmingly the consent of about more than 80% of the parents saying that we will send our kids to the school. That's the one part of it. Secondly, we need to come out with the SOP, which we have received from the MHA, the Ministry of Health and Welfare, and also the state government. All those things were supposed to be tied up before the opening of the school. And the third aspect, which we specifically carried out, that all the school teachers which we are going to open, at least for the higher classes from 9 to 12, they were all initially they asked by the state government that they should be under the surveillance, and also the testing was also carried out. With these three things in mind, we carried out, but unfortunately, the challenge as of now is we started reopening our schools for the higher classes from 9 to 12, I said earlier. It's just about 15 to 20% students coming to the schools. This is about the government, the schools, but this situation is quite disturbing as well as the private schools are concerned, where the attendance is something like about around 5% or so.
Right. Okay. So taking these points into consideration forward, Dr. Lakshmanan, let's talk about, schools reopening. Various states are looking at this very differently. Some states already schools have started. Some other states are talking about a post-Diwali kind of a start. And some states are mulling whether they should open schools at all in this calendar year. So what are some things that need to be kept in mind and taken into consideration before the schools are started?
India is fighting back against the COVID. And we are in a situation where we have actually improved. In the last few months, the number of cases have almost halved. The mortality has improved tremendously. But at the same time, the COVID pandemic is realistically there. It has not gone anywhere else. It is there. But the life is slowly returning back to normal. And one of the most important activity to bring it back to normalcy, whatever the new normal is, is to restart the educational institutions with all precautions, safety measures, and a COVID appropriate behavior which will facilitate such a system to work. Yeah. For example, the state of Andhra Pradesh has opened, the state of Assam has also opened. In fact, way back in October itself, the colleges and professional educational institutions in Assam started open functioning. And from November 2nd, that is the first week of November onwards, the high schools in Assam has also opened. So what are the precautions when we are opening the schools? What are the problems or challenges which can come up when we open the schools are the major concerns. As we already know, COVID is a disease which has a very high contagious rate. Contagion nature is there. So the problem is whether the children, when they come to a school, or the students when they go to a college, will be maintaining proper physical distancing. Will they be maintaining COVID appropriate behavior despite clear instructions? Will they be continuously wearing masks? Will they be able to maintain their hand hygiene? These are very, very practical challenges which will be open to each of the educational institutions. At the same time, we cannot simply think about the schools or colleges itself, the way the students will travel to the school. Many of the students used to travel in school bus or school vans or auto rickshaws like that. Very few children would be traveling by themselves. Another problem related to many of the schools, educational institutions like colleges is about the hostel, because a considerable amount of students stay in the hostel. So this is another problem which has to be taken care of. So considering all these things, for example, in state of Assam, for every educational institution, a committee was formed with the responsible educational department officer, responsible officer, and also a representative from the district administration, in addition to the representative from the Parent Teachers Association. So this committee has been carefully studying, examining the various options available in the school, and only those educational institutions which can maintain the standard precautions with standard safety measures have opened so far. But all said and done, it requires continuous monitoring, continuous evaluation of the situation, and to an extent, regular, frequent testing of students as well as teachers.
Absolutely.
So these are
Absolutely.
we will be evolving from the days to come. We will be learning and we will be modifying the plans. I think this is the strategy which will be accepted by most of the states.
Okay. Several things to consider, very well pointed out by Lakshmana Ness there about what are the factors that need to be considered and what will be the learnings really as far as reopening of schools are concerned. Dr. Vashish, let me take up another aspect with you. You know, schools are reaching out to several parents to try and get their opinion and get their views as far as reopening of schools are concerned. What is the kind of feedback that you're getting from the parents?
Yeah, thank you so much that you have included me, because I am the person where I am dealing with all children, as well as I have received so many feedback. Means I'll say 95% and above, particularly in my school, and being in a city coordinator of the school, in which near about 107 of the CBSE school and otherwise the government school also, and I have the entire feedback of this particular district. And believe me, the feedback which I have received, particularly in my school and as well as in my district, it's really amazing. Actually, parents want to send their word to their school, but side by side, they also want that is all precautions should be taken by all the schools, as per the guideline issued by the MHA or by the district administration, as per the area of the local area. And they want our child should be safe while it is commuting by a bus, as rightly said by one of my panelists. And during the school, all measures, that is that particularly the sanitization, thermal scanning, oxygen level of the children, each and everything should be, and Along with this, sanitization, proper sanitization of the entire compound of the school should be there. Social distancing, in fact, if you talk about my school particularly, which has been taken as a nodal center, and so many principals as well as the district administration people, including Deputy Secretary Education, who visited my school, and I have shown each and everything whatsoever that we are following in our school. That is the proper sanitization twice in a day, thermal scanning at the gate, oxygen level for each and every child, and they have been allowed moving here and there with the proper guidance, and each and every child is, first of all, first 2 days I have taken to teach them how to behave during this period. That is most important, because if you taught the child, look, this is really dangerous, it is for your life and you need to take care of yourself, then there is no problem arises as such. While they are going to the washroom, they are going one by one, and the one particular attendant should be there to manage whether the one child is inside, so you please wait for outside for 1 minute until he or she will not come out, as well as while they are commuting to the school. So bus conductor, they all should be very well trained, and the bus should be properly sanitized. The driver should be properly trained, and not only the conductor and driver, as well as that is very important to give proper training to the service staff, because service staff will really help you a lot. While the teacher is not there, or while the teacher is not able to supervise each and every child, these people will really help a lot. However, teachers will also be trained in such a way, they just think, look, these are your own kid. So how to deal with your own children? If they are very well aware of this thing, the problem will be sorted out. And believe me, in my place, from 9 to 12th, all children are coming with the consent. Without consent of the parent, I am not allowing anybody. And you believe this number is too high. While I have opened this on 18th of October, when I have opened the school, that percentage is nearly 35%. And as of today, if I talk about, this number has been increased by 70 to 75%.
Right.
And it's a great number. And each and every child is appreciating the effort made by the school. And not only in my school, if I talk about the other schools of the district, all are doing the same work. And I can say this thing, one day then we have to face this, because problem is no doubt about it. Problem is here. But how to deal with the problem, the training is required. And not only the training for the teachers, it is for the parents, service staff, and children also. The most important factor is the children. Absolutely. If the proper training goes to the children, then 99% of the problem will be sorted out.
Okay, points taken. Let me take the discussion forward now. Clearly, we need to move on. Clearly, we need to go back really as to the education system. We need our children to be educated at the end of the day. So, Dr. Mahavir Singh, let's look at another aspect as well. So far, the panic has come down as the months have passed on, because we've not seen too many cases of children getting sick or children losing their lives. Now, if that changes, once the schools fully reopen, do you believe that could cause a major concern and there could be a sense of panic? And that's why it's very crucial to see how we go forward as far as reopening of schools are concerned.
Okay, let me give you one small perspective about the learning process. See, you have a formal setup in the schools where the kids are coming to the schools and there is a direct interactions with the teacher and the students. That's one way of looking at the learning part. Second is, the student is also interacting with his peers. That's another important aspect of the learning. And the third setup is, like, when the students are coming, in addition to the academic activity, there are extracurricular activities in the schools. I'm talking about the normal setup in the normal situations. So now all these three aspects of the learning have gone by. And that's why the students are really at loss. And the fourth aspect is, he does go home and he is basically into the self-study mode. So out of these 4 modes, 3 modes are not available to the kids. But let me give you another dimension to it. When the kids were not coming to the schools, and this is pretty long period now, right from the March onward, it's more than 6 months down the line. So we started working on how to really engage the students who are still at home. So we came out with one, the idea was like the Chief Minister of Haryana gave this slogan saying 3S, stay at home, study at home, and we'll bring the school at home. So we started, capitalizing on this particular aspect. We initiated the aspect for the first time in the country that we linked the EduSet system, which was existing standalone with the school premises. We linked it with the Doordarshan. So that's one strategy. Second strategy was, let's have some online classes where there is a possibility of engaging the students who have some electronic devices available with them. But this is another challenge, particularly when we are dealing with the masses, those who are coming to the government schools. That's a real problem area. And the third aspect we devised is, let's have some lessons available offline. So whenever the students or his parents are allowing to use their mobiles, they can make use of that facility from the offline mode. And the fourth was, because some of the students and the teachers, they engage themselves through the WhatsApp, the learning process, and when it was virtually the two-way communication. Looking at this background, it is heartening to note that the people, particularly the students and the teachers, really evolved this technology over a period of time and engage them. But there are still challenges. And these challenges, I would say there are threefold challenges. One, how do you rope in the students who do not have the electronic devices, plus the data, because the classes are going to be there for a number of hours. The second challenge was how to really engage them when their parents are out, because initially when there was a lockdown, the parents were inside the house, so they could really take care of, or at least monitor the students that actually they are looking at those online lessons. And the third aspect is, how do you really take care of the two-way communications? As I said earlier, the most part of the learning process in the life of the child has been that they go to the school, have direct interaction with the teacher, which is altogether missing. So how do you get this feedback, and how do you look at the assessment? So we really struggled on that. And finally, we came down with the suggestions and the use of the IT technology. We have started using one app where we are looking at the two-way communications and coming back with some feedback and assessment also. This is the overall scenario when we have to look at the pandemic situation has really given us an opportunity. And rather the challenge need to be converted into the opportunity where we can make use of this. And second aspect of this overall situation is that it is going to be there for quite some time now. We need to understand the behavior of the virus and also change accordingly. And we need to understand this is going to be there at least for the current academic calendar, and maybe in the next academic calendar, or maybe even after that. So we need to reorient ourselves accordingly.
Absolutely. All right. So, Dr. Lakshmanan, since we are here, how do we reorient ourselves or our children or the way our schools function? Because as rightly pointed out by the previous speaker, of course, it seems like the pandemic is here to stay and here to stay for some time. So what is the best workaround?
I absolutely agree to what Mahavir sir had mentioned. Let us think about a scenario where the children are not coming out of the house, but their parents are going to offices, their parents are going to marketplaces, their parents are going to shops to procure basic provisions which are required for the life. And they are also traveling in different vehicles, private as well as public vehicles. And these parents definitely come back to their home on daily basis. So if the disease has to come, it is not mandatory that it will come from the school only. It can come from any point of interaction. Then why there is a special stress on the school? There are 2 points here. One, frequency. That if somebody is going to a marketplace, it may be once in a week event, or say twice in a week event. but the schools are slightly more frequent. We are expecting children to come to school almost 5 days a week. That is our first problem. Second, somehow we take it that the adults who are going to a marketplace or an office are more tuned to behave in a particular manner, COVID appropriate behavior. Whereas in schools and colleges, we still are not very sure whether we can have that kind of discipline without compromising safety. So the frequency and the behavior are the only problems which actually challenges us to reopen the school, because the threat perception, it can be from the child, it can be from the parent as well. Since the schools are one extent or one end of the spectrum, the other end being the parent himself, who is going out for making his livelihood, is going out on regular basis. Unfortunately, the disease can affect both parent or child, either of them. Hence, there is no excuse not to open the school, but to be ready to behave, but to be ready to accept the challenge and
Right.
act accordingly. And therefore, I agree to what Sir has told, considering the huge educational loss, which is not only studying from textbook or online class, but it also includes meaningful interaction with teachers, peers, and the surroundings. All these
Right.
three are important parts of education which cannot be simply taken through online classes. So considering the advantages and disadvantages, and the disadvantages which can be reduced to a greater extent, provided we are having some subtle and visible modifications. Of course, all the state governments are absolutely forward looking, mentioning that the attendance is not mandatory. However, the option is there. Second, frequency of classes, the time duration of classes has been modified by most of the states.
Right.
Third, classrooms have been strategically made in such a way that there is ample physical distancing between the seats, between the benches. Again, the classes have been divided in such a way that there are one or more shifts where the number of children in each classroom has been restricted to a practically feasible limit. So
Sure.
many of the steps which can be done have already been done. I believe we will have to face this challenge. At the same time, there is no need to panic in case one educational institution gets affected. It will be,
Right.
because invariably one of the child, one of the teacher, one of the sub-staff is going to get affected. Rather than getting panicky, it is better to keep ourselves alert, check regularly, even if there is a significantly high number of infection coming from one school, it may not be enough to stop all other schools from opening and functioning.
Points taken. All right. So, Dr. Vashish, close the show for us with your concluding remarks on the best way forward.
Yeah, you're definitely the very rightly said by the Mahavir sir and the sir right now. The question arises, see, the problem is not going to shut out very soon. So what all are the precautions to be taken? What all are the measures and how we take out our study plan for our kids? That is an important question. Now, few experiments which I have done in my school and as well as in consultation with the rest of the schools in the state, say particularly for the children, those who are not able to attend these classes because of the connectivity problem, and there are so many other problems, one device problem, and having number of children in the in a particular house is more. So for that purpose, we have started the blended learning. Means some of the children, they have been associated with the nearby kids with having all kind of a social distancing and all. This is all about the online classes. And for the formal classes, as the sir said very rightly, we need to teach, we need to train our staff as well as the children in such a way so that they understand what is the problem exactly, without compromising our study, because study is also very much important, and this problem is not going to over within a short period of time. So in such a situation, what we have done
Right.
it, say we have done it, So one is the blended learning, means some of the students can come for 3 hours only for the formal classes, and the rest of the 2 hours they either in the morning or in the evening, so that the duration can be reduced. Say, for example, if I talk about the child of class 12th and 10th, which is a very important and a board class, for the major subject like science, maths, SST, etc., we are teaching them and we are taking all kind of difficult chapter here in our formal classes, but the rest of the chapters as well as for the rest of the subjects, we are giving online. So that at least the difficulty level in a particular subject can be sorted out or can be short while they are coming to or committing to the school, while keeping all the social distancing and teaching them in a for the COVID pandemic situation.
Right.
So this is one way. This is one way. Another thing which I mean to say, just give them a work.
Right.
And the classes should be interactive in nature. How it can be, sir rightly said, there are so many apps have been developed by the IT department of our country, and these apps are an interactive type. And otherwise also, if you are using any of the platform like say Google Meet or Microsoft, whatsoever it is, we used to train our teachers in such a way, look, teacher know very well how to interact with the child, whether child is aware of the concepts or not. Say by this thing, say solve this question and show it to me in front of camera. So, or you can again organize a quiz where you can easily judge whether the child is able to understand the concept or not. So these all are the things which if teacher be trained in such a manner, this problem can be reduced. I can't say this is 100%. We can provide a solution for the children.
Yeah.
It's no doubt about it. See, one more important thing.
Okay, points taken. I'm sorry, I'll have to interrupt because I've got very limited time on the program, so I'll have to call it a wrap on the show right now. Thank you to all my guests for joining me on the program and sharing your views and perspectives with us and putting things into perspective. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of COVID-19 India Fights Back. But before we leave, I'd like to make an appeal to all our viewers to remember to follow a few safety precautions. Remember to wear a mask whenever you step outside, and also ensure that you wash your hands and face regularly and maintain physical distancing of at least 6 feet. Remember that these small and simple steps can go a long way in defeating the pandemic. That's it from me. See you again next time.